Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Calvin, and for the longest time, I never imagined that I'd one day be sitting here telling the story of how my life slowly came apart piece by piece. But life has a strange way of catching you off guard, and not always in the best way. It started when Lauren began spending more and more time glued to her phone. Soon she was going out frequently, meeting up with people I had never heard of before. At first, I assumed she was just widening her circle of friends. After all, it's normal to meet new people. But these weren't the same friends she used to mention. They were completely new faces, and the way she spoke about them felt different. There was a spark in her voice, almost like she was rediscovering a side of herself I wasn't a part of. One night, a woman I had never seen before came over to our house. Lauren greeted her like an old best friend, laughing and chatting as if they'd known each other for years. Out of simple curiosity, I asked, "So, where did you two meet?" It was just a casual question, no suspicion behind it. At least not at that point. But instead of a normal answer, Lauren's expression shifted. Her smile disappeared for a moment before she snapped. "Do you want to police me now?" Her reaction shocked me. It was just a simple question. Why was she so defensive? I wasn't accusing her of anything, just trying to make conversation. But something told me to drop it before it turned into a fight. So I nodded and let it go. But I didn't forget it. I began paying closer attention. And the more I watched, the more I noticed changes I never expected. Lauren grew distant, almost secretive. She'd spend hours on calls, making plans. It wasn't about work or catching up with family. It was about going to new bars, trendy restaurants, weekend events. Things that sounded far more exciting than the quiet nights we used to share. When I'd walk into the room, she'd lower her voice or step outside to finish her conversation. I knew something was different, but I didn't want to be the paranoid husband who overthinks everything. So I stayed quiet and kept watching. Then one day, I walked into our bedroom and froze. Lauren had completely overhauled her wardrobe overnight. The comfortable, casual clothes that used to fill her side closet were gone, replaced with short dresses, tight skirts, and revealing tops. The only clothes she didn't get rid of were her work outfits, though even those look like an afterthought now. Shopping bags from luxury stores were stacked in the corner, tags still on them. It wasn't just a shopping spree. It was like she had reinvented herself. I stood there, trying to process what I was seeing. This wasn't just picking up a few new outfits. "What's going on?" I asked finally. Why the sudden change? Lauren didn't miss a beat. She smirked, tossed a new dress onto bed, and said, "It's my hot girl season." In that moment, it felt like I was watching my wife turn into a stranger. I wanted to push back, ask her what that meant for us, but I held my tongue. Fighting about it wouldn't change anything. Soon after, Lauren started coming home late. The excuses were always the same. Work ran late. There was a sudden emergency. Her boss needed her to stay. And I wanted to believe her. I really did. But it didn't add up. Eventually, she stopped coming home right after work altogether. She'd rush in, get dressed up, and head out again. When I asked where she was going, she'd casually reply, "Oh, just a small get-together." But her outfits told a different story. Short skirts, heels, tight dresses. These weren't casual hangouts. One night, I told her directly, "I don't think it's right for a married woman to be out late all the time." She stared at me like I had just insulted her. Then she scoffed and said, "It's my life. I'll live it how I want." And just like that, the conversation was over. From that night on, our marriage started to crumble. We barely spoke. Our conversations became limited to groceries, bills, basic small talk. Intimacy? Completely gone. No kisses, no touches, not even eye contact. I tried to distract myself with work, hobbies, anything. But ignoring the problem didn't fix it. It only got worse. The more silent I stayed, the bolder she became. Girls' night out became a weekly event, and she stopped pretending it was innocent. Some nights she stumbled in at 2 or 3 in the morning, reeking of alcohol. Some nights she wouldn't even make it to the bedroom. She'd crash on the couch. I kept telling myself this was just a phase, that she'd settled down. But those thoughts wouldn't leave me alone. One night, I opened up to my friend Eric. He was the one person I could trust to be brutally honest. I told him everything, how Lauren had changed, how distant she was, how our marriage felt like it was falling apart while she acted like she was single. He listened carefully and then said something that hit me hard. When a woman starts acting like this, there's usually something bigger going on. You need to find out what it is. Those words echoed in my head for days. After a lot of thinking, I made a decision. I was going to find out the truth. I hired a private investigator. He told me it would take time, so I waited. Days turned into weeks. Then, finally, the evidence came in, and it shattered me. The photos and videos showed that Lauren's girls' nights weren't just dinners. They were wild parties, drinking games, reckless behavior, nights that no married woman should be having. I sat there staring at the evidence, barely able to believe what I was seeing. But that was the moment I knew what I had to do. For weeks, I carried that knowledge like a weight in my chest. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to see if there was any part of her that still cared about us, about me. One morning, I found her in the kitchen sipping coffee. I leaned against the counter and said calmly, "Lauren, what's really going on with you?" She barely looked up. "What do you mean?" "I mean the late nights, the new friends, the constant going out. You barely even talk to me anymore." I searched her face for any sign of guilt, any hesitation. "Are you still committed to this marriage?" I asked. This time she put her phone down. But instead of guilt, she looked annoyed. "Calvin, don't start," she sighed. I didn't back off. "I'm serious, Lauren. You've changed. And if there's something you need to tell me, now's the time." That's when she laughed. Then she leaned against the counter, smirked, and said, "You really think you can control me, don't you? You can't stop me from doing what I want." I stood there frozen. I expected excuses, maybe denial, not this. It was like she had already decided to throw away our marriage. As I watched her go back to scrolling through her phone, it hit me. Maybe I never really knew her at all. After that day, I realized I couldn't stay. She had already checked out of marriage. I met with a lawyer and filed for divorce. I gave him the investigator's report, the photos, the videos, everything. Legally, it was clear-cut. But even then, I couldn't bring myself to serve the papers right away. As much as I knew it was over, a part of me still loved her. Or maybe I loved the memory of who she used to be. So I waited. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The paper sat untouched in my desk drawer. Finally, one night, I tried one last time. When she came home dressed for another night out, I said, "Lauren, can we talk for a second?" She sighed, sat down across from me, arms crossed, annoyed. "Don't you see how this lifestyle is tearing us apart?" I asked quietly. She tilted her head, almost confused, and said casually, "What's wrong with our relationship? It's fine." And that was it. That was the moment I knew. Our marriage was already over. Soon after, she stood in front of me in another revealing outfit and said smugly, "I'm going on a date." Instead of reacting, I nodded and said, "Great. I was wondering when you'd finally admit it." Then I went to the bedroom, grabbed the folder with all the evidence, and handed it to her. As she flipped through the pages, the bank statements, the photos, the videos, her face went pale. "You might want to cancel that date," I said quietly. "You're going to need a lawyer instead." For the first time in months, she had no words. She refused to sign the papers at first, but I didn't wait around. I took the case to court. She tried to turn it against me, call me controlling, jealous, bitter, but the truth was on my side. In the end, the court ruled in my favor, and the divorce was finalized. It hurt, but I knew it was the right choice. Lauren lost more than a husband. She lost stability, security, and the comfort of a home where she was cared for. When I married her, I believed love could fix anything. But I learned the hard way that love isn't enough if respect and commitment are gone. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I kept holding on to the version of Lauren I fell in love with, not the person she had become. And that was my mistake. Eventually, I had to respect myself enough to walk away. Now, I want to ask you, what would you have done in my situation? If your partner started treating you like an afterthought, living as if they were single, Would you fight for marriage or leave sooner? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.